Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Tastemakers podcast. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and this is the podcast where we talk through the latest in the world of TV and film. And with me, as always, is Grace. How you doing, Grace?
I'm doing well, Taryn. Last week we had my mom on, who I think from the notes I saw was a little bit of a hit. So, and Jennifer from another
Oh,
podcast from Hallmark Movies, but yeah, my mom was on the podcast last week. No mom
look
this
at
week.
that.
No mom.
No moms this week.
No mom.
We were in a no mom zone. It's an interesting week. I think there's a lot of news to talk through. The Golden Globe nominations were announced. We've got a ton of drama happening with Netflix and Skydance and Warner Brothers Discovery. So
Mhm.
we'll talk a little bit about that. Honestly, it's been talked to death from my perspective, but we can give our takes, I suppose, and then catch up on what's been happening and what is coming in the world of TV and film. How does that sound, Grace?
Sounds like a plan. Sounds good.
Okay, where should we start?
Well, I mean, I feel like it is the biggest news story of the last week, which is the Netflix attempting to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery. Did you get an email from Netflix being like,
I
"Hey, we
did.
bought it. Don't worry,
Yep.
it's all good. We have it, and we are buying it," which I thought was very funny. Yeah, I mean, okay, here are my thoughts that I think, like, yes, there've been a lot of news stories and tweets and things about
Should
this,
we
which is
should we lay the groundwork
yeah, yeah,
in case people have
yeah,
not
go for it.
heard this story? Um, Warner Brothers Discovery is looking for a buyer, and there's been a bit of a bidding war between a few different larger companies, and in particular, Skydance, which recently bought Paramount and is sort of owned by the Ellisons, who are very, very rich people who are friendly with Trump.
Mhm.
Who recently bought Paramount, then immediately like sort of orchestrated a set of new leadership there, which meant things like, hey, the diversity initiative that was happening, that's gone. Any DEI thing is gone. You are not allowed to be biased against Trump, which most take the meaning to be you now have to be biased for Trump, so on and so forth. They are looking to also buy Warner Brothers Discovery, which owns things like ESPN. Um, Geez, what's
CNN.
the CNN? Sorry,
CNN.
I get the letters confused sometimes.
I mean, they're
CNN,
red and they're the same.
exactly.
Mhm.
As well as things like HBO and all kinds of other. There's kind of two major branches. One is like the quality IPO, and or IP, and then the other is sort of like the newsy stuff and some of the other stuff that happens.
The stuff that's kind of dying, that, like, is still
Yeah.
has an audience, but is mostly only older people. Stuff you can only really watch on linear TV. HBO is still, like, it's, not exactly like you can get it in a cable package or whatever, but they also have HBO Max, so, like, yeah, all the movie stuff as well. So it's like they were trying to spin off all the stuff that feels like it will eventually die off to sell it to
Yes.
somebody who might be interested in it still, but it doesn't sort of like, and I think it comes with a ton of debt as well. I think both have a lot of debt. So
Basically, Netflix has no interest in that stuff. It only
right,
wants the big name IP. It wants HBO. It
yeah,
wants all of that stuff. It doesn't care at all about the rest. And then on the other hand, on the other side of it, Skydance and Paramount, they seem to primarily want the CNN portion of it to be sort of like in control of more news outlets, and the HBO of it all is probably a nice bonus to have as well. So there's been a bit of a bidding war, and Netflix came out on top. They put in the highest bid, and that Warner Brothers Discovery decided to go with, and the deal pending approval by the government was set in place. The government has to approve it because these are like basically the Netflix side of this is Netflix is like the biggest streamer right now, and they're trying to buy like the third or fourth biggest streamer in HBO. Um, and so there's a huge monopoly issue happening here in terms of consolidation. And on top of that, there are many people in the arts side of things that really do not want Netflix to have HBO, to take more control over, to not only not just HBO, but Warner Brothers in particular, which is one of the
Mhm.
bigger, movie producing companies lately, because Netflix doesn't love theaters and they want to shorten windows for theater releases, and they ideally seem to want to get rid of theaters altogether. And so theaters are already dying, and this is just an acceleration of that process, potentially on top of consolidating all of this industry into one big place. It's not like Paramount would be much better in terms of consolidation of market, but they are a smaller company and would theoretically not be doing as much damage to theaters, although theaters seem to be on their way out anyway. So there's a lot of that happening, and really, I think in the ideal world, like, I guess let me finish the thing, is that Netflix got this offer in, Warner Brothers accepted it, and then the Ellisons and Skydance decided to attempt a somewhat hostile takeover, meaning they are going to the shareholders themselves to try to offer a higher price. They are backed by, or they're saying they're backed by the government itself. Trump will actually let us go through with this deal as opposed to the Netflix deal, which he might block. And then also they have like all kinds of other money from the Middle East and other things backing them. So there's a lot of political reasons to not want Paramount to take over, a lot of sort of like movie theater reasons, or just general monopoly reasons to not want Netflix to take over. But that is the current state of things. And I don't think we'll get a resolution to if the takeover will happen or if the Netflix deal will be allowed through at all until at least like a month from now or so. So we are still kind of like waiting to see what happens. And my brief take before I let Grace take over is that all of this is bad, but there's certainly a worse outcome.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 100%. That's exactly right. I'm so glad I watched Succession because I feel like I do like
Yeah.
understand what's happening. Mostly because I watched Succession. But I mean, to me, I feel like the thing that people are saying were like, oh, if Netflix buys it, then like we'll lose movie theaters, and it's there'll be one less movie studio around. I think that that's also like mostly true if Paramount buys it. Like
Mhm.
movie theaters are already struggling. And then you have one less movie studio making movies, and so then you have less movies to even put in movie theaters. So like I feel like that side's bad. And then on the other side of like, well, at least Netflix isn't Paramount and they're not like cozied up to Trump. But like Ted Sarandos, head of Netflix, like went and met with Trump, and Trump came out and was like, no, he seems like a great dude. And like it does, in order for this deal to go through, I think in some ways like Trump will have to sign off on it, even if he chooses Netflix. So that feels like, he will want something out of that as well. So it doesn't feel like it's not political for it to go to Netflix. So I do agree with you that both sides feel bad. And like the problem is that the solution that everybody wants, which is that like some random person out of nowhere buys this thing and runs it as a thing that still exists and is independent from anything else, is just like so unlikely to like who is that person? I don't know that they exist.
Basically, we would need an FTC that actually was doing its job and would
That's
prevent any
yeah,
buyout of this company.
yes, which is not the case. It will
No.
a deal will be put through. It's just how much you provide to individual people, including the president. So, there's no like, oh, it'd be better if it was just going to somebody else. Like that it's going to be one of these two companies. I'll eat my hat if that doesn't happen, but I presume that will happen. And then, yeah, it is a bummer. It means less, a movie studio gone. I don't like the idea of Warner Brothers having or Netflix having, the Warner Brothers IP catalog. HBO Max being on. It's just bad. I mean, the price of Netflix will undoubtedly go up, or the price of Paramount will go up. Either way, so it's just it's just like not super great. It also will take a very long time to resolve all of this, probably. So this is not like it's going to probably impact people that soon. Even I think like a month is generous. I think it's going to take likely, at least a year, probably.
Who knows? But yes, I think I mean, in my view, if you also got an email from Netflix saying this just went through, I think, well, first of all, there's like I think a clause in the agreement that if the deal doesn't go through, Netflix will still owe a huge amount of money. So they were very confident that they would be able to get this through. Maybe that was because they felt like they had a lever that they could use with Trump. whatever. In my view, the email and the statement declaring it was done was also meant to sort of like, I think, get the general population excited about the idea of
100%.
like, oh, HBO comes to my Netflix. I don't have to pay for two separate things. And then ideally that puts pressure on the government to allow the deal to go through. Like, oh, now it's the big bad government telling you that you can't have HBO on your Netflix. But of course, Paramount's trying to wage the war on the other side of that, and they're actively trying to use the theater thing, saying, "Oh, we will put out 20, 30 movies every year," saying like, we'll keep theaters alive. And so I think like the way that I've often seen this talked about is like, on one hand, you have Skydance and the Allisons and them trying to like them representing like the worst of the corruption that's happening in our current government, and trying to take over more news outlets and so on and so forth. And on the other hand, you have Netflix, which is the sort of pure encapsulation of capitalism, taking over unchecked. And you kind of have to choose one, and it's pretty obvious that I guess unchecked capitalism is better than unchecked corruption. So you kind of like, at least Netflix only cares about making more money as opposed to the other option. But it's certainly not a great scenario either way, theoretically. But it is what it is, and it will likely be a while before we have any sort of conclusion. But maybe we'll have some kind of update in the future. Who knows?
Yeah. So I've also said I have said that this will take a long time to resolve, but I've said that I do think movie theater, like going to the movie theaters, I think is going to be more like a mix of sort of like going to a concert and like going to like the opera, or maybe actually the theater is the best thing, that people will go to the like a stage theater show, like people do go, but it's not a thing that everybody does as part of their routine, and like prices to go, like it's a little more, it's expensive to go. And I think like movie theaters will, over the next, I don't even know how many number of years, will slowly become more of a niche interest. Like they still have like a cultural hold on us, that like it's not like this is going to happen in like a year or 2 years. I think you'll continue to see this trend where then like movie theaters have to become more in price, like are more expensive to actually go. Even now it's like really expensive to like take your family out to go to the movies. The one thing that I think could be like a turning point in terms of like that trajectory to some degree is the fact that since the 40s, studios have not been able to own movie theaters. It was seen as like essentially there'd be a monopoly, that you would own the like creation, distribution, the whole line of production of a movie would be controlled by one entity, a movie studio. And I do feel like if Netflix was ever to break the mold of like, we don't put things in movies, could you not see it being a thing where like suddenly they've bought every like Regal Cinema across the country, and now they're like Netflix theaters, and you would go and you could only watch like Netflix? Like, doesn't that feel like it's like coming at some point? Like, I feel like that has to be a thing that will happen at some point, where like that, I think in 2020, I think the ban on studios owning movie theaters actually ended. Just none of them have actually like gone forward to try to like, because you have to build them or you have to buy somebody out. And so I don't think that has happened, but I could definitely see that happening, where like Paramount owns, name a movie theater chain, and they own it. And you see their movies and TV and whatever in those. I think especially with Netflix, like they could do sports and like all the live content that they do. Like it just feels like at some point Netflix is going to buy a theater chain.
Yeah, and it's this sort of thing where it's like, you just keep putting pressure on a pain point for the general population, and then you come in with the solution of like, well, theaters are dying. The only way for theaters to survive now is if we own them. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, let's ignore the fact that you've been killing them, helping kill them yourself. But then if somebody tries to block it, it's like, well, why are you trying to kill theaters? If this is the only way that they can survive, then this is maybe the way that it needs to be. It's a lot of industry stuff happening. I think what makes it particularly interesting is the way that it intersects between like the usual industry stuff where normally it would just be a clear-cut case of no, we don't want Netflix to own Warner Brothers, and a lot of filmmakers were very against this idea. But then it's intersecting with politics, because there's this other side of it that is very political and very much aimed in that direction. And so it's sort of like it's making the story a lot more broad than it otherwise would be.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, the politics has already had there's already been a shift, I think, in like the content that's on. So I think it will even probably like we're probably not seeing the full extent to that. We're probably seeing it in things like you talked about, like the diversity initiative being gone on CBS shows. Like reality TV production moves a little quicker than other things, so I think we can like see the way in which that's happening in a way that we actually won't really see, like how much the political nature of the United States right now has like impacted television, movies, and things like that until just. I mean, the joke a few weeks ago was that like Rush Hour 4 was going to be made, and the reason that happened is because the guy who made Rush Hour, director, was canceled a few years ago, like for sexual harassment, sexual assault, and then he got hired by, I think, Amazon to do the Melania Trump documentary, and so now he has the ear with Donald Trump, and he's basically been like, "Hey, you like Rush Hour, right? Make them make a Rush Hour." And so then Donald Trump was like, "I want Rush Hour 4 to be made," and like that's why that's happening, which is wild, but it's where we are.
It is where we are. All right. Should we talk a little bit about the Golden Globes?
Let's do it. Let's talk about the Golden Globes.
I mean, honestly, it's like I wasn't like super excited by these, especially the TV ones, because the Golden Globes are always in this like strange spot where like a lot of it feels like a repeat of what we have already seen. You know what
Yeah,
I
it's
mean?
it's so funny that they're in such a weird spot where they're like after all the Emmys, but before the Oscars. So in the Oscar, right, like in that world, in the movie world, they are a little bit more
The
like trends.
movies, yeah, the
Yeah,
movies feel like new, but the TV shows feel like, oh, we've already done this.
yes, like they're late to the party. And the funny thing now is like it used to be this thing where like the Golden Globes were sort of like so weird that they weren't this like they were the beginning of the season, but of like the award season, but they weren't such a like precursor. Like mostly, sometimes like a win could it'd be like, oh, that's interesting. Like if they won there, then they might win over here. And now it just feels like we're so much more. Funnily, like as we've lost like sort of monoculture, we're more in the award. I think I don't know. I think just people have more access to seeing things. I think that like the like online presence of certain like campaigns feel like they're a little bit more like this thing either is like in the race or it's not in the race. And so the Golden Globe nominations actually do feel, I feel like every year they're becoming a little bit more. They're also the voting body has been diversified a little bit, but it does just feel like this thing where it's like in some ways it's kind of annoying that it's like less sort of weird and fun, but it definitely does just feel like it is an indicator of maybe like a movie's Oscar chances. And then they also do the thing where they add an extra nominee to every category so that they can have more people at their ceremony, which will be happening actually on Paramount. I think CBS in January. So yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that I mean, I saw the Oscars recently are talking about like trying to crack down more, have stricter criteria for like making sure that you've seen all of the things for a category that you're voting in, which is always like a tricky thing to pin down. But it seems like they are recognizing that there's a little bit of an issue happening with the probably not only similarity between these two award shows, but also just like the way that that winners have been selected lately. But either way, we can talk mostly about the movies, I would say, and kind of like briefly go through. I don't want to like go into super big detail on the Golden Globes necessarily, but like any standouts would be fun. We can of course talk about the Best Picture nominees, which was honestly
Well, they're split between drama and then musical comedy as well.
right.
So like the other thing about the Golden Globes I think is interesting is that you do get this like wide number of people and movies who get nominated, but like they can't all make kind of in the movies it's not as big of a deal because up to 10 movies can be nominated. But in like lead actor, you have like 5 comedy and musical nominations and 5 drama ones that like, or there's 12 nominees that have to become 5 nominees. So it actually to me is more interesting than like because the movies feel like mostly what the movies will be. Some obviously won't make it. My headlines here are that like it was just an accident is like and the secret agent. Actually, the general movement towards more international films being nominated to me is, I think, pretty interesting. Like this is definitely like it's not new, but it still feels new in the sense that like it was just an accident is a movie where the creator of the film actually he just I think I brought it up to you before a movie or a podcast 2 weeks ago, I think, of like, oh yeah, the director of this film, Jafar Panani, is he's been if he's been told if he comes back to I think Iran, Iran, he'll be arrested for making this film. He basically filmed it in secret. This movie is amazing. If you get a chance to watch it, I would highly recommend it. Won the Palme d'Or, so the Cannes Film Festival, the like highest honor you can get there. It's basically about these group of people who find somebody who they believe is the guy who tortured them, but they don't know whether that's true or not. And just like I don't really want to say more than that because I think like as the movie goes, it's so good. It's billed as a thriller. I think this is an excellent movie that I wasn't seeing like a lot of buzz about. So the fact that it did get nominated in the drama category, I think is great, and it's a great movie. I think it'll get more attention this way. And then along with Sentimental Value and what was the other international feature there? Oh, The Secret Agent, which is a Brazilian film. Feels like Brazil has these moments. It had I'm Still Here last year. This is Wagner Moura, who right? That's Wagner. No, is that Wagner Moura? Let me just make sure I have it right. Yeah, that is Wagner Moura, right? Am I right?
I'm not.
I think I'm right.
Anywhere.
I think I'm right. That's Wagner Moura, who I think is tremendous. And this movie is really good. It's pretty long, but I'm just pointing these out as like just really interesting that these like international films are like one of like these. This is one of the 5 or 6 films that gets picked for best drama. So, yeah.
Do you have a sense of like what's looking like the favorite at the moment?
Well, I think this is okay. So there's been this interesting thing I think that's happened. First of all, tons of category fraud going on in all these. How is Sinners not in the musical comedy? Like the musical, I guess comedy is whatever. Marty Supreme is, I guess it's anyway. Too much category fraud here. Like One Battle After Another is just not a drama. Like what do we? I also think No Other Choices probably. Anyway, doesn't matter. Whatever, it's fine. It does feel like
honestly, in terms of like well-known movies, it does feel like the musical or comedy ended up more stacked.
Yes.
Which is interesting because I wonder if they like all thought that would be the easier one to win, and now it's actually the harder one.
Okay, so I think the thing that's happening here, but in this category, is that this is between Hamnet and Sinners. I think in the drama category, and I think Sinners is like the populist choice, and Hamnet is the like a little bit of a critic darling. And I think I'm already seeing some people online in the like people who love being like, actually Hamnet is actually quite boring and bad, and it's like purposely just trying to make you sad, and actually it's not that good. And so there's like I feel like it's some pushback on it being a front runner, and this is a thing that can happen is like the front runner becomes polarizing. Like I don't think Amelia Perez and Hamnet are the same in terms of like the quality and the type of movie they are, but you could like Amelia Perez kind of came out of the festival races being like, oh, it's a front runner, and then people would see it and they're like, wait, what? No, you're kidding. And so I don't think Hamnet has that energy, but it has a little bit of like favorite child resentment energy, a little bit.
It's like, don't
like
come for my sinners.
That's what I think Sinners is going to be the popular choice, yet I think Hamnet with maybe the tiniest bit of sentimental value pulling an upset. I don't think that will happen. I think Hamnet will win, but I'd also be very happy if Sinners won. So and then drama feels like One Battle After Another is going to be the movie. I saw Marty Supreme.
Music or comedy?
In musical comedy, yeah. So yeah, I don't think anything. Maybe No Other Choice has those top 3 movies. I think the movies that sort of have the One Battle After Another. I don't see how it's not the winner here, but we'll see.
All right. Then Best Motion Picture Animated. I thought this was very. I mean, I feel like there's a Surely, there's an obvious winner here in K-pop Demon Hunters.
Well, K-pop Demon Hunters is, funnily enough, it's also been nominated in the Cinematic and Box Office Achievement,
Yes.
which has to be mostly cinematic because it actually barely had a box office run. It does feel like it's the year for it. Feels like K-pop Demon Hunters should win, but it might not win because it's so popular, kind of, But
It's very funny to me that Demon Slayer is on here.
Yeah,
because it's a movie that's in like I don't think you can just watch that standalone.
yeah, I don't know. Oh, like
Like it's
just
part
in
of
terms
like
of
a
understanding,
TV show with like
right,
multiple seasons of many episodes.
right. Yeah, I feel like it was a pretty weak year for. It's funny because like probably the most popular movie of the year is an animated movie. I feel like otherwise it was a bit of a weird year for anime. I didn't really like Arco. Saw Arco, and I haven't seen Zootopia 2 yet. So
I watched Zootopia 1 in preparation for watching Zootopia 2.
It's fun, and I think people came at me not like at me, but I was like I had heard that Zootopia 2 wasn't that good, and I think as more like of the public saw it, they were like, no, this is fun. It's good. It's actually good.
Mm.
So yeah,
I liked Zootopia 1. I think I mentioned I watched Elia.
I like
Um,
Elio.
and I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I did think K-pop Demon Hunters was great. And like it's the sort of thing too where like obviously it hasn't gone away, and so I'm continuing to like hear like, oh, this is this live performance of and the music is just still so good.
It is so good.
Um,
It should win. I'm not saying it shouldn't win. I'm just
yeah,
saying it could kind of get like, the treatment. I think this one, we can leave this one. There's some good movies in here, but it's a lot of the same
yeah.
stuff.
Best performance by a female actor in a motion picture.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling like it's between I think Jessie Buckley is the favorite for her performance in Hamnet, but Renee Rensfit from Sentimental Value, I think, also has a chance. Very happy to see Eva Victor from Sorry Baby. I think this was probably the biggest surprise of any nomination. I think a lot of people thought a screenwriting nod would be there, but to actually get an acting nod is so great. So yeah. I actually don't know who's gonna. I feel like it was not I mean, people I think had sort of written off The Rock from getting a Smashing Machine performance. So it's kind of fun to see him there. I feel like there's some energy behind Michael B. Jordan. Have you seen Train Dreams yet, Taryn? I feel like you should watch Train Dreams. It's on
I
Netflix.
haven't. It is on my list.
Yeah, it's very good. Jeremy Allen White could win, but I feel like that's a little boring. I think Wagner Moura could certainly win for his role in The Secret Agent. So feels like probably Michael B. Jordan, but I don't know.
And then musical or comedy.
Yeah, I actually don't know. I think there's a lot of Rose Byrne should win energy happening, but I don't know if it's actually like real. I think maybe Emma Stone should. Chase Infinity from One Medal for Another is great. Testament of Van Lee is. So, these are all like pretty good. I have not seen Song Sung Blue, which is I think it's about it's Hugh Jackman plays a Neil Diamond impersonator, I believe. I just wrote Hugh Diamond, which is not a real Google search. Yeah, it plays a Neil Diamond tribute act. I've not seen this yet, so gosh, this that category I really feel like could go many different ways. This one, best male actor in a musical comedy, feels like it's either Leo or Timmy. Having just seen Marty Supreme, I do think he's really good in it. I don't know if he's better than Leo, but this category is stacked. I think this is like so good. I mean, they all are, I think, but like,
I mean, this is the first category where I'm like, I haven't seen all of these movies, but I know every single one of these people.
There's also a lot of like, Ethan Hawke is like, his performance in Blue Moon is like, there's a lot of energy. There's a lot of love behind that performance as well. So I mean, maybe a long shot, but I think that it'll be Leo. Just because, that he's so good in that role. So yeah.
And then we have some supporting roles. Anything stand out in the supporting roles?
No, so it's so good to see Benicio del Toro there. I mean, again, I have big like. A lot of these are not supporting roles. Like, there's absolutely no way Paul Mescal is a supporting role in Hamnet. There's no way Stellan Skarsgård is a supporting role in Sentimental Value. Is this no? They're aren't they up against? That was at the Gotham Awards. Stellan Skarsgård and Bill Skarsgård were, or not Bill. Is it Bill? What's his son's name? Alex. Who plays who was in Succession? Alexander.
Oh,
Alexander
Alexander
Skarsgård.
Skarsgård, yeah.
Yeah, they were up against each other, which was good. They did a variety one-on-one. I also don't think I don't really get the Adam Sandler love for his performance. I think Billy Crudup is the better performer in Jay Kelly, but that's fine. I guess because he's being like super serious the whole time, but you know,
We have Best Director, which is
yeah, pretty.
kind of just tracks. I guess this probably gives you like the front runners of each category
Yeah,
because it's combining comedy and drama.
yeah. I think PTA will, but I mean, I could see the case for him or Kugler or Chloe Zhao, honestly, or Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident. So interesting. I do feel like, we get in this thing where like, oh yeah, a lot of things got nominated for a lot of the same things, which is I think a thing that's also been happening a lot.
Best original song.
It's the wrong one. It's Golden. I don't think Golden is the wrong choice, but I feel like also Soda.
Well, that's the most popular one because like they released it as a single and it like went wild. But I do agree there are better songs.
Yeah, if we could get two. I don't know.
That's true. It should definitely. It's like literally. I mean, I haven't seen Avatar, obviously, or yeah, like I feel like it's hard to deny K-pop Demon Hunters is great. Although I will say, I think the Sinners song was really, really good.
I think that one. There's two songs from Sinners as well. I mean, Christopher Nolan just like sort of last week sort of like praised the Irish dance scene. I honestly think I can't even think of what the Train Dreams song is. I feel like it should have got a score nom, but I literally don't know what that song is. So.
All right, then this is the really
let's
weird
do
one.
this one,
Cinematic and box office achievement, which has Avatar, which hasn't released yet. But you know what? Honestly, fair.
But people have seen, critics have seen it. So for at least cinematic, it is supposed to be like an incredibly like cinematic. I mean that's what he does. So it's fine, and it probably will make a bunch of money.
F1, fine. K-pop Demon Hunters makes sense. Sinners, obviously. Weapons in here was a surprise to me.
It was a sensation.
But a welcome one.
I mean, the thing in here is that Wicked didn't get nominated for Best Musical or Comedy, but it is in here. And this was a thing last year. I think between this and Barbie, it was like the moment where did they win last year? And then they got to go on stage and they were on stage for at least one moment, like the Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. I can't remember.
I'm sure that they were on stage for something because I remember them being on stage.
So yeah.
And then Mission Impossible and Zootopia 2.
Sure. Those are popular movies.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look at this as the box office achievement and don't really think about the cinematic aspect of it, which is because it's then like who had the most money made, but it's not really strictly that.
I mean, I think it's silly, but also like I get why they do it, which is to have famous people be at the
like,
show.
what was the best popular movie of the year?
Like if they can convince Brad Pitt to be there, it's a win for them. It's great.
Then we get to the TV stuff, which is again mostly all the same stuff. I guess we threw Pluribus in here, The Diplomat. But apart from that, we're looking at a lot of the same stuff.
Again, common theme that like it feels like people watch the same things and then vote for them. So,
Adolescence back again. The Beast in Me sneaks in. The Girlfriend, which was a strange one. And then again, Ray Seahorn in here. But yeah, for the most part, I guess Task wasn't a part of the Emmys.
Yeah, I guess they're on a slightly different cycle.
I'm surprised Task didn't make it into a drama.
It's a good. I don't know what you. I mean, maybe I would cut The Diplomat, maybe, but it's pretty strong.
I've been watching The Diplomat. It's been pretty good. I've been liking the third season. It's a little hit or miss. But,
I know some people don't like season 3 of The White Lotus as well. So yeah.
Honestly, I'd cut Severance. That's me. By the way, Pluribus now the most watched show on Apple TV, beating out Severance.
Yeah.
But yeah, apart from that, it's just a lot of the same. Anything else from the TV that you remember that stood out to you?
No, not really. Yeah. Feel like I don't really. I'm like,
podcast of the year.
Oh yeah, that is there. Apparently there were only like, I can't remember, like 60 podcasts. So the fee to nominate is really high. You have to submit your podcast. So like, we didn't just everyone knows. No surprise. We didn't submit the Tastemakers. I don't know if Rob
Well,
submitted
obviously,
RHAP.
if we
We would have
had,
won. I know.
yeah.
But yeah, like only like I think it's something like 60 podcasts got nominated, and then they pick, which is like fine, but like it's gonna be, whatever. I heard a rumor the other day. I love Good Hang with Amy Poehler. I think she's a tremendous interviewer. I heard this is maybe a sneaky run up to maybe a late night show. If late night shows are still, I kind of think the opposite. Like late night shows are dead, and podcasts are just
Well,
where
it's
all
very
the
much
late
like
night show
Hacks.
hosts are gonna go. Yeah. She would be a great late night show host. I just don't know if late night will survive Amy Poehler getting a show. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this honestly, it feels like a very silly category considering like how few podcasts are really even in contention. And like, you're looking at it and it's like, oh yeah, Dax Shepard, Amy Poehler, like, oh yeah,
Well,
Call Her Daddy. I know that one. Like,
well, also like what should it be? What should it like? There's so many different types of
that's
podcasts.
what I
You know?
mean. It's
Yeah.
like it's hard. Like it feels like you can't really do it justice, and therefore, why is it even there? Other than just, I guess, to provide more outlets to get famous people to your show.
Well, that's exactly, and make money. They made money on it. Right? Everyone
Oh, that's true.
submitted. Up first, I mean, I listen to that every single day. Is it one of the 6 best? Like, is it most entertaining? Like, how do you compare that with Good Hang with Amy Poehler? I just don't think you can.
Yeah.
So whatever.
All right. That's the
Can,
Golden Globes.
can I do one thing before? I think maybe I don't know if we have more news, but I just want to touch on Rob Reiner passed
Mhm.
away. Seems like it's quite an unfortunate circumstance. I didn't really want to believe it last night when I saw it. It was only people who was reporting that there was a murder investigation and that his son had been arrested. It does seem like that's what happened. Outside all of that, it's hard to think. I honestly think like I don't know if there's maybe he's one of the most influential directors I think ever. I think if you look at his
Yeah.
filmography, there's like a run of movies he has from like basically This Is Spinal Tap to like I think A Few Good Men, and you're like there's nothing that he like it's all hits. It's like such an
He's yeah,
incredible
like the
run of
known
movies.
for tab on his IMDb isn't even close to
No.
representative of like what he did between his acting career and his obviously like writer director career. Um,
But people are like,
um,
I saw this thing on Twitter where it's like, he might have the best ever like satirical comedy in This Is Spinal Tap, and then he might have the best coming of age film ever in Stand By Me, and then he might have the
mm,
best like fantasy film in The Princess Bride, and then he might have the best
mm.
rom com ever in When Harry Met Sally. And like, you can disagree whether those are the best ones ever, but to like even be in the conversation for like that many, and that he did that in about like a less than a 10-year period, plus Misery, plus A Few Good Men, like that is unbelievable. On top of just being like genuinely so funny. He was in The Bear. He showed up in Wolf of Wall Street. I think he's so funny, and just immensely talented, and it's yeah, just quite unfortunate that he's passed away. So yeah.
Yep. Um, yep. So that was incredibly sad news here, especially the circumstances with which it was happening, or which it seems to have happened. Um, okay, should we talk about some shows and stuff?
Let's do it. What's been on?
I did see, by the way, that Dexter Resurrection
Mm-hmm.
is apparently coming back in 2026, October of 2026.
I think the fact that they are, I guess like, between, like, it does feel like we were, for a while, we had these like big shows that wouldn't come back for many years. And I guess between like COVID and these strikes, and maybe I'm just like over like how long it took stuff to come back. But if we could
But
just keep on this momentum of like bring your show back every year,
for
would love
me,
it.
this is just like it's honestly it's like fashion trends. Like the
Right.
fashion trends of
Yeah.
my childhood are back.
Right.
And now also the shows of my childhood are back
Right.
in a similar style run by the same people. The
Right.
Pit coming back to be like ER but modern and operating under the same kinds of systems that shows used to operate on, because it's made by the same people that were used to doing it that way. And then
True.
similarly, it feels like Dexter is trying to do the same thing. Obviously we have a season every year. That's what we do. And they also have that sort of like old school vibe to them while still feeling modern. I like this trend.
Same. Big
Yeah.
fan. So yeah, excited for more Dexter.
All right. Things I watched this week. I mentioned Spartacus last time on the podcast. Spartacus House of Ashur. You'll see it has a pretty bad IMDb rating. However,
Mhm.
what I will say is I don't think this IMDb rating is accurate.
Mm.
I think there are a couple of things at play. One is that the original Spartacus on Stars started terribly. I remember watching the first episode of Spartacus and being like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen.
Mhm.
And then quickly getting sucked in anyway, because it was ridiculous, but also very fun. And then it turned out to be a very fun show. This new show created by the same guy, and I would say honestly doesn't even have as rocky a start, but it's a very acquired taste. This show, they speak in a weird way. It's full of graphic violence and sex constantly, and it is not trying to be highbrow in the slightest. And so it has, like, I would say the original show has like its cult following. Amongst them, I would, I guess, count myself as one of them in terms of people who enjoy the original show. Um, and I would say that probably a good amount of the people that enjoyed the original show are people that either like or don't mind a lot of graphic violence and sex. And a lot of those people also probably think of themselves as edgy a little bit, think of
Mhm.
themselves as a little bit anti-woke. And so this show's been getting a lot of woke downvotes,
Mm.
because one of its leads is a Black woman who is also a gladiator. And that's not realistic.
Of course.
Hello.
Of course.
On my show where we're cutting off heads and punching people across stadiums, there shouldn't be a Black woman there. And so there's been quite a lot of pushback in that regard. And so when it's a show that's relying on a fan base that I would say is probably heavily infiltrated by those people in the first place, and is not particularly friendly to new viewers who, you know, again, it's a kind of niche thing to enjoy. I think that explains the rating. I don't know how well this show is doing in terms of viewership, or how long it has in terms of its lifespan. But if you are in the niche of having enjoyed the first one, or what I'm saying sounds fun, I think it's a fun time. I think it's perfectly enjoyable as a show if you liked Spartacus, the original stuff.
Okay, on Rotten Tomatoes, the critic score, which is only 11 reviews, but whatever, is 91% fresh.
There you
Whereas
go.
the popcorn meter is 44%, which I think would track with what you're saying. Which is funny because I feel like this type of show feels like it often has like the way you were describing it at first feels like it would have the opposite, where it's like critics would be like, "This is very good," and people would be like, "I love it. It's so fun."
I'd be willing to bet that the original. I'm curious now. If you look up the original
Yeah,
Spartacus, to see what
2013 was when Spartacus came out.
It was.
It doesn't have a popcorn, although the seasons might have a popcorn meter. Let me see.
2010 to 2013.
Okay, yes. So looks like overall there is only a critic score, which is 64%, and then like the seasons very much vary, somewhere anywhere between like 52%, I think, for season 1.
Well, the first
then,
one was the only really good season, if we're being
oh
honest.
really? But that is
Although if you
52%.
count Gods of the Arena as season 2, that
Okay.
was phenomenal.
Well, that one has, yes, 93% popcorn meter. Okay, let me hold on. Maybe the critic score. Maybe I was looking at the critic score for Blood and Sand. Is that right?
Blood and Sand, I think, is the first. It was because Gods of the Arena was kind of a spin-off, but then some places are counting it as season 2, which is a little strange to me. But but yeah, Blood and Sand I think would be the first season. Gods of the Arena would be the second season, and then I think from there it just goes like
Okay,
season 3. Oh no, I guess it's called Vengeance. Season 3 is
okay.
Vengeance.
Blood and Sand is 52% critic and 88% popcorn, and then Gods of the Arena is 73% critic, 93% popcorn meter.
That
So
tracks. Yeah, the first season, like I said, it feels like it's flipped. Like
yeah,
originally, it was like a very popular in terms of like audience reception show, and then, but then undeniably, Gods of the Arena was the best thing it produced. And then it just got. And then the third season, I assume, is just mostly bad all around because it wasn't great.
no, I think it has like not. Let me just see. That's Vengeance. Vengeance has no critic score, but 86 popcorn meter. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah,
And then the last one,
other people liked the third season more than me, I guess.
last one is 69 critic and 86 popcorn. People popcorn meter is so high on all of them, basically. So I don't know.
It was also a very unfortunate situation where the lead actor that played Spartacus
Yeah,
passed away
that's right.
after the first season. And so they had to recast him. And the recast was fine. But
Okay, but House of Usher, fun. Enjoy.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been like, why Ashur? What's going on? But it's I will say basically the premise seems to be like here is an alternate reality uh, that is potentially designed to torture this man. So it's interesting, and
Okay.
and I will say also that it's got what is her name, um Claudia, yeah, Claudia Black, who, if you're a big like sci-fi television show watcher, you might recognize from Farscape,
Okay.
or she was on Stargate, and she's phenomenal, and it's great to see her back in a fun campy show like this.
Okay. Fun.
Yeah, that's my report for the week. That's the main thing I watched. I watched the
Okay.
first 3 episodes of that.
I have a couple movies that came out that I've watched.
Yes.
Wake Up Dead Man, it's the Netflix movie. This is
Mhm.
the third movie in the Knives Out trilogy. The
Can I
Benoit Blanc
briefly
movie.
interject and say I hate that
Yes.
it's called Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, because anytime I try to search for it, I just want to say it's the Knives Out movie and I can't find it because I need to know that it's called Wake Up Dead Man.
Yeah, and the Knives Out thing. I feel like I saw this on Twitter as well. People are like, it should be a Benoit Blanc mystery, probably, right? Like the Knives Out thing is a little silly, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah.
I like this one. I feel like I'm just as high on Glass Onion as I am Knives Out. So I don't know that I'm like exactly in line with what most people think, but I do feel like most people think that Wake Up Dead Man, whether or not you liked Glass Onion or not, is really good. I think Josh Connor is probably, I don't know. I guess I don't want to compare them, but I do think he's like really good as sort of the the associate to Benoit Blanc, like Janelle Monáe and Anna de
Yeah.
Armas are in that role. That's his role in this. It's a great cast, which I think is like the selling point of these movies, is that it's a whole entirely different group of people. This one is much more centered around a death related to like in a little small church community. I think it's really good. I think it's really funny. And I think it says like obviously religion is a huge theme of this movie. Ryan Johnson has talked about formerly being religious and not being anymore, which is like I feel kind of where I fall, where like I don't know that I ever was like super, but I grew up in a religious, my parents are religious. And then at some point I was like, oh, I don't think I'm religious. And so the fact that he's written Josh O'Connor, who is religious, like Josh O'Connor is a priest in this movie, I think is like really interesting. And I feel like the themes of it are just really good. I like it. I liked Wake Up Dead Man.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to watch it. I saw that it was in theaters and I thought about it.
It probably,
But then
yeah.
it was pretty narrowly in theaters, it seems.
Yeah, super narrowly. Apparently, there's a difference thing between this and Glass Onion, where apparently for Glass Onion, Netflix told theaters they could not have it longer, and with this one, if the theaters wanted it, they could have had it longer, but that was then up to the theaters to do that. And I guess what else has been out recently? I don't know. I guess there are a lot of movies out right now. I think like between all the Oscar-y movies
Yeah.
that are out, it is pretty busy. So I don't know. It just doesn't feel like there's a lot of like. I guess Zootopia is the one taking up like the most theaters. What else is playing right now? Yeah, I don't know. So maybe unfortunately people can see it in theaters, but I don't. I don't know. There are movies I think you absolutely should go see in theaters. I don't necessarily think the Knives Out movies
Yeah,
are the
this
ones you have to.
it feels like a nice cozy at home movie for sure.
Yeah.
The Knives Out movies.
So the other movie I saw, I mentioned a couple times. I did get to see Marty Supreme this week. This comes out on Christmas Day. I liked this so much. I gave it 5 stars in Letterboxd. I do not think it's like up there for me with like One Battle After Another. I kind of have like One Battle After Another, Sinners, Weapons, Hamnet, Sentimental Value is like sort of my. I guess I just spoiled if we're gonna do a movie top 5 in a couple weeks, but I really like this. That was really good. I think Timothée Chalamet is really good, and I think like Josh Safdie is very clearly a very talented director writer. He co-wrote this with Ronald Bernstein. This feels very much like an evolution of Uncut Gems. Like it's
Mm.
you could feel how it's like Uncut Gems, and also what he's doing differently this time around because it's a
This
different
made, of course, by
person.
Josh Safdie.
Josh Safdie of the Safdie brothers. Yeah, he done Uncut Gems. I think this is really, really good. I think I would recommend people go watch it. I really like Marty Supreme a lot.
By the way, I feel like I was late to this news, but there are rumors that the Safdie brothers have broken up,
Yeah,
which is why you're seeing so many solo projects by the two of them. Um, Benny, of
Benny
course, going on to do most recently the
Smashing
Smashing
Machine.
Machine with the Rock, and then Josh doing this Marty Supreme movie with Timothy. Um, which is a shame because I think the two of them together have made my favorite works of the both of what they've done. But
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I'm like maybe not mad at that because they're just doing their own things. And
in
actually,
that sense, yeah, you get double the output.
yeah, I don't hate Marty. I don't. Sorry, I really like Marty Supreme. And also, I should say, like the premise of that movie is that he is a kind of an everyday guy in New York City who wants to be the greatest ping pong player in the world, set in like 1950s, I believe. He's just like a super ambitious dude, just wants to be the best ping pong player ever. It's about his ambition. That's the premise of the movie. He wants to be Marty Supreme. I like Smashing Machine. I think it was like interesting. I love the curse. The curse is my favorite thing. I think, and that's like not solely Benny Safdie. That's also with Nathan Fielder. But
Yeah.
I think that was so good. And so I kind of get it. I think I would be too much of a control freak to like co-direct with someone, and maybe it's okay. Like the Coen brothers have been kind of doing their separate
Mhm.
things recently as well. That they said they probably will do
Yeah, but
something
also,
again
like, when's the
together.
last time you heard about a Coen brother movie?
Well, they're really bad. I think Joel did Honey Don't and what's the other
Right.
one he did? They're really bad. I think
That's
they're
what I'm
like
saying.
it's tough. I feel like they need
You
to
can't mess with the formula.
I know they need to get back together,
Although
I
in this
think. But
case, they seem to be doing okay, so
yeah. And then one of them didn't did Joel do I guess I'm wrong. It's Ethan who did those movies. I think Joel did like Macbeth, Tragedy of Macbeth.
mm.
Anyway, anyway, whatever.
Yeah, you can I feel like maybe you can see maybe we'll see this with the Safdies, maybe we won't, but, like, that's funny because I feel like the Coen brothers had a unique blend of humor and artsiness, and it feels like from what you just described, those 2 things separated with the 2 brothers.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And without the 2 of them together, you don't get the magic mix, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Those are the movies I think I watched, and I think other stuff. I'm mostly just like keeping up with stuff. Heat of
Yeah.
Rivalry has still been fun.
I've heard
Pluribus,
more about that, Heated Rivalry.
so fun, so fun. Yeah, gay hockey story. Bad name, but poorly named, but it's fine.
I heard that
Have
is also, like, a very, like, graphic sex show.
yeah. Maybe don't watch it with like your mom. My mom and I weren't watching Heat of Rivalry, but yeah. The two things that came out that I did not get right, it was Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I didn't finish season 1, not because I didn't like it, just because other things came up. I would like to watch that at some point. So been season 1 was pretty well received, and season 2 dropped. I think just the first episode. Let's see, based on the books. And then Taylor Swift has a new show on Disney. Speaking of Disney, sort of a behind the scenes. I feel like a lot of people were talking about this past week as well. The End of an Era, I believe, is sort of behind the scenes of her last tour. So some good Disney content coming around the holidays. So yeah. Anything else you watched, Darren?
Keeping Up with the Mighty Nine. I will say we're like 6 episodes in now. And I think I have not enjoyed the most recent episodes as much as the first ones. And I think in part that's because like the storylines aren't as separate, is what I'd say. And so I feel like it doesn't give the characters as much separately to do, which is less fun for me. But it's still very good, and I'm still enjoying it.
That's a really hard
And
part. I've
then,
never about the adapting like a D&D game, which is often like, the
right.
D&D or a Critical Role has huge tables. Like I would not recommend anybody who's like never played D&D before. You don't need like 9 people at your table, 8, 9 people. Like you can actually run it with like a group of 3, which is great. Very impressive that he's able to like Matt is able to like run those, but also then that's a huge challenge to like figure out how to balance all that into like a television show,
Yeah.
which often does not have that many main characters essentially.
It does
So,
feel like there is a little bit of a boundary that the show hits where it's like these people for the most part need to be together doing quests.
yes.
And that means they're constantly doing busy work, and I'm running into a little bit of like this feels so irrelevant to the main plot. And I get it because it was part of like it's like almost like they're playing a video game, and they're doing side quests. But it
You all
does
do
it
have to do them
does
together. You all do them together. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Detracts a little bit, but I'm still enjoying it for sure.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
And then I have been keeping up as much as possible with It's Welcome to Derry, which I believe it
The
just finished.
finale just aired. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm like in the middle of episode 7 or something. So I'm like a little bit behind, but um, it's it's been fine. It's been mostly good, I would say.
I think people, I think like, I kind of agree with you. I think this moment has like moments that I'm like, oh, this is really good. Like what's happening right now
Mhm.
is really good. And then otherwise times I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, like we're getting there. We're doing it.
The
I do feel
scary
like
bits are incredible.
I agree totally. And the thing that to me is interesting, I do feel like it's very interesting that like Warner Brothers is being sold because it's funny because I looked at a little while ago, I like looked at their like calendar of things that are coming out, and they are doing these like weird little comedies, but a lot of the drama stuff is like we're doing Game of Thrones stuff, we're doing we did the Penguin show, we're doing It Welcome to Earth, we're doing Harry Potter, we're doing like IP based like drama, and I feel like they have been doing that well. I feel like people loved the Penguin, and people now
Mhm.
I think are like loving it. Welcome to Derry as well. I feel like that is the general sentiment. Like you see it, it's a 7.9. That feels
Yeah.
like the best shows like on IMDb will have like an 8.4. It's like and it's like the
And
highest rated.
that's despite having a lot of characters of color.
Yes, yeah, that's true.
And a lot
Um,
of themes around that as well.
Yes. So anyway, I just think like it's really interesting to me. Like, I feel like HBO. It's funny because it's like they're just gonna get sold. And I wonder whether this will continue. But it feels like they were figuring something out in terms of like franchise IP dramas, which is interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, I like I said, I think the scary bits are great, and I think that I love that people are enjoying it because it is very fun. For me, I think 8 hour-long episodes is a bit too much of a stretch for what it's got, which is I think generally going to be the case, especially for a horror television series. It's really difficult to like plausibly stretch out the timeline, and keep things tense the whole time when you have that much space to fill. Um, Maybe 6 episodes would have been great. If this had been like a movie, I think it would have been really good. But other than that, I think it's still perfectly watchable for me, and especially just for when the scary bits come because they're really well done.
It's funny. I did a 5 episode binge to do the interviews for with folks before the season. I have some interviews on Pride. People can go check out with all the adult main cast basically, and then the creators and executive producers. And I do feel like 5 was like kind of perfect, and then I like binged the last 3 in a row, and I was like, oh, that was also really good. So I actually feel like feel like that hammers home
2
your point.
movies.
Like, yeah, basically. Yeah.
Well, okay, I do have I guess a little bit to say about Pluribus,
Mhm.
which had recently I would say a polarizing episode, the most recent episode, Pluribus,
Mhm.
because of like what it represents in terms of the show itself and its placement in the season. As the season is like starting to, it looks like a 10 episode season. We only have
I
3
think it's
left.
9. I
9
think it's a
episodes.
weird yeah, I think it's a weird,
It's only 2 left.
yeah, I believe so.
Which I think there has been this discussion around Pluribus where it's like, okay, this is moving a little slow for me, but I have faith in Vince Gilligan. Let's see where it goes. There are some
Mhm.
people that are like, nah, this show is bad. And then there are some people that are enjoying all of it, right?
Yes.
And for the people that were like, I have faith in Vince Gilligan, I think that the most recent episode was a little bit of a slap, wake up slap of like, yeah, there's only 2 episodes left. So this is what you're getting this season. And it's like, ooh. Um, and I am in a little bit of that camp, personally. Um, Mostly in the sense that like, and you know that I've been on this podcast and I have said, I think binge drops are not great. However,
Uh-huh.
occasionally there is
Uh-huh.
a show that might merit a binge drop. And I think that Pluribus actually would have worked better for me as a binge rather than a week to week show because there's not enough forward momentum for me to be checking in every week. I feel like if I was just diving into one big gulp of this show, I might have had less of that feeling of like, oh, I want like let's get moving already, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. I had a really great combo with Dr. Amanda. I was on the Crying Laughing, but we're doing the Mad Men recap. But they do a sort of a state like, what are you watching thing? And
Mm,
Amanda was talking about Pluribus, and I thought it was really interesting in the way that I do feel like this is like, I think Vince Gilligan is a bit of a slow starter, and
mhm,
I mean that most of like not even just like the first few episodes of a season, but I actually think like first seasons of his show, and actually
mhm,
like I think if you look at between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, which I think are inarguably his most successful television shows he's created these and show run them. Um, it took me like a couple tries to like do Breaking Bad, and I only got into it. I actually was very sick and quarantined at a summer camp I was going to work. Well, I was like going to be working at Outdoor Ed Center, and we all got um like the Norwalk virus. We all got that, and we had to be quarantined. And some of us started watching Breaking Bad, and like we just powered through it. And I feel like to your point about like you feeling like this could have been a good binge show. Like I do think a lot of people like found Breaking Bad. I think there are people who were watching it week to week from the beginning, but I think a lot of people like found it when it went on Netflix or watched the DVDs and like fell in love with this thing over time. It still had a level of quality that meant you wouldn't stop watching it. But I know I think I restarted it twice before I then like kept with it. And then Better Call Saul, I think also started slow because people are kind of like, oh, this is what
I
like
would say
this is what it
it
is.
was much slower even than
Yeah,
certainly than Breaking Bad.
and to the point about it though that I think it gets is that like you knew you knew who Saul was and who he would become, and so there was a thing that did keep you sort of attached, I think, and so I think that Pluribus doesn't necessarily have that, although I think it did have such an action packed premiere. I've talked about the pilot being like I think sort of like akin to the Lost premiere or these other things where like so much happens, but then it was like, okay, but now what is the show about? Like we saw the inciting incident, but like what actually is interesting to you about this thing, which I think purpose and Vince Gilligan just seems to be more of a like, let's see what this is. And I think like I said this, I think to Amanda that I think like it's almost like he's really good in spite of himself. Like I think the fact that he like I guess I'm gonna give big breaking bets where like he puts a gun in the trunk and he like figures out how to do that is really impressive. But you just wonder like can he always figure it out? You know, because he's in kind of new territory now on the
He
new show.
takes his time, and I think that's one of his biggest strengths. But I do think it can be challenging at the start, especially. Because like again, I think for me, it's like I don't know that I would want the first season of Pluribus from at this point at least to change
Mhm.
as much as I just wish that I had consumed it slightly differently, because I do have enough faith in Vince Gilligan that like I also had trouble with Better Call Saul, and to the point where I kind of drifted out of it for a little while before coming back and watching it in binges, and then catching up to present once it was up to speed, so to speak. Um, and I almost feel like that is the preferable position for Pluribus. And then on top of all of it too is that they haven't even started production on season two.
But it did get
Um,
renewed for season 2, which I think is another thing too.
yeah.
If you only have potentially one season to do it, like I don't know that he would, but he might move things differently and have things.
Mhm.
The fact that he does know he has time means he does not actually need to rush in the way that he might otherwise feel like he should, which is probably a good thing, but also maybe you can feel it when you're watching it.
Mhm. So yeah, it's a tricky situation. I think that I just preferred. I wish that I'd maybe just waited and watched it in a binge. I think that would have been honestly. I think that like perhaps the best version of Pluribus is waiting until season two
Yeah.
and then watching the first
Yeah.
season in a binge. We'll see. Obviously, we've got a couple episodes left, but it's there's still definitely something here. There's a reason why it's because I wouldn't even say that like it's boring.
Right.
Like, I don't think it's slow in the sense that, like, you're not interested. It's slow in the sense that you are interested and you, like, want the things to be happening that it's promising you because you know it's gonna be fun and interesting when that happens. And in the meantime, it keeps kind of, like, stringing you along with other things that are also good, but not the thing you want.
Right.
And which is honestly kind of similar to the conversation I'm having about The Mighty Nine, where it's like, some of these things feel like side quests, even though they are ultimately very meaningful to the overall story. And I'm sure that I'm sure we're going to be very happy that we had them here. But yeah, it's a little bit challenging at times. All right. Anything else?
Not new things or that I'm keeping up with. So just
Okay.
what's coming.
Well, we do, of course, have Fallout, I think, is the biggest thing in the next
Fallout.
couple of weeks for sure.
But weekly release, I think, right? Just I believe last season. I think it's the thing where it initially was supposed to be week to week, and then last minute Amazon decided to drop it all at once for season 1. But for season 2, it will be releasing weekly, so we get the premiere of Fallout.
Yeah, not even like a couple episodes at first. It's gonna be one episode and then one episode per week all the way through, which I'm actually pretty excited about with Fallout, I think. I think
I'm
that
also
suits
excited.
Fallout for sure.
I agree. I'm excited for Fallout. I don't mind. I mean, like Amazon did have this thing of like drop a few and then let you have the rest. It feels like they didn't do that, but they gave us a season. Now we're gonna get the slow trickle of season 2. I really like season 1. That was really fun. That the tone of it was really good. It's funny. I feel like we had like in that year we had these two very different video game adaptations where
Mm.
The Last of Us was like a faithful adaptation, like to some degree, of like the story that had already been told, and it was like just in a different format. And this was like, no, we're gonna tell another story in this world, and was very fun. Got me like super. I like my brother had always been into Fallout, but I never really played that much. I really liked it. I'm really excited for it to come back.
And they are also they're squeezing this in. It's just over a year and a half gap. Technically they're starting this in 2025 and the first season dropped in 2024. So
Okay.
not missing a year in between. Okay. Anything else that's coming up? Because I didn't really notice
Well,
much. Obviously, we have some movies. Emily in Paris, which is I don't
yeah,
know
I was
how
gonna plug
popular
that.
that show still is, but season 5 is coming.
I think it's
Um,
still somewhat popular. I think, but I don't know.
I saw
Yeah.
somebody say recently, I don't remember where I heard this, but I heard somebody say like nobody has sat down and watched an episode of Emily in Paris paying attention to the whole time.
Everyone's second
Um,
screening.
I don't know how true that is, but having tried to watch the show, I didn't love it, I will say.
Yeah, I haven't watched very much
Um,
of Emily in Paris, so can't speak to it. But it's a
yeah, I
big
mean,
movie
there's
week. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry. Well,
No, there's really no other. I think like there's something called the Copenhagen test on Peacock coming after Christmas, but for the most part, because I don't even know how good that'll potentially be. I don't really see much coming in the ways of shows at the moment. But yes, movies are happening.
so it mentioned Marty. I believe Marty Supreme gets a limited release this week, but really the big one is obviously the SpongeBob movie. Just kidding. It's Avatar: Fire and Ash is yeah, coming out this week. So
Yeah. Avatar, Fire and Ash. It's the big one. It's gonna make a bunch of money.
it's gonna be in every IMAX. Yeah, I mean the thing I've heard about this is just it again. He did it again in terms of like, I mean everything is still true that he visually this movie will be so incredible. Like this, talking about earlier, like I don't think Knives Out is the movie you need to see in IMAX. I would say like if you at all are interested in this, I would recommend you go see an IMAX because it's incredible if you can, or just go see it in a movie theater. But yeah, everything. I feel like there's a few weeks ago where like a bunch of people saw, like a bunch of critics like saw for the first time, and then it was like they're all like, "Yep, yeah, no, amazing. It was so good. It was amazing." I do think it's true that like the movie doesn't have a ton of like cultural cachet. Like it doesn't like we don't like I don't know. I don't think kids have like Navi lunch boxes or like I don't know. It just like doesn't really
Mhm.
like I don't really remember much about the last movie. I don't know if I'll rewatch it. I don't think you really need to. I think just like go for the experience of watching an Avatar movie in theaters. I'm excited for it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I hope it's good. I think I enjoyed the first one more than the second one in terms of the both, I guess, both the experience and the like story.
Yep.
Um but you know, the main thing I think I'm experiencing, and I felt this with because I did finish the first batch of Stranger Things. I feel like, and I've watched more of the Marvel movies too. I just feel like everything's all Marvel-y right now. I
Yeah.
feel like, and it's not just right now, but I feel like it's a general thing that happens is that things, and I'm attributing it to Marvel, but it's a thing that happened before Marvel. But it's like things just get too messy when they go on for too long. And it just feels like we've lost the tight focus. Um, And so, I felt that with the second Avatar already, where it was like, all right, well, now this guy's back. And it's like things like we've fallen in love with our lore or our own lore too much. And so now we're just playing with action figures instead of actually telling a proper story. I felt that a bit with Stranger Things. It's obviously been the case with Marvel a lot lately. And I'm hoping that Fire and Ash is able to uh, maybe tighten the scope a little bit instead of expanding it constantly.
Well, I think that are they already doing four? I can't remember if they're gonna do four or not, or four is not. It's like two and three were filmed together, and
I feel like
so
2 and 3 were filmed together, right?
yeah, that does seem to be right. Okay, there's a
By the
really
way,
interesting.
talks of 28 years later, part 3 of the trilogy are happening.
Didn't it like already get? Didn't it? Didn't she already get like that confirmed? Isn't that confirmed already? Maybe that was just rumors that it was going to be confirmed.
It was dependent on how well like the first movie did was kind of the talk.
No, apparently
Um,
no. They're already moving forward with the third.
okay,
Sony is officially moving forward with the third film,
okay,
following the
perfect.
early responses to the Bone Temple. Um, yes, okay, that is exciting. I'm very excited for the Bone Temple. Yet Acosta. Okay, so James Cameron did a very interesting interview on The Town, a podcast that I really like with Matt Bellany. He got interviewed. Matt Bellany went and watched Avatar, this new one in James Cameron's own personal theater in his home, and then they did an interview, and he was basically like, yeah, if people don't really like this one, like I won't do
Yeah.
this forever. Which I thought was like super interesting because I feel like there's this like sentiment of like he's just gonna try to do this forever. That was super interesting to hear about. Like just I do feel like when you watch the movies, it does look amazing, and also there is a way in which you're like, oh yeah, but it's all still like it's kind of animated, and it's like all the basically it's all motion capture. Like everybody who performs in this movie is motion captured to some
Mm.
extent, like not obviously like background extras and things like that, which I thought is really interesting. He like talks a lot about the process and what it's like on set, and I just the way that he like I don't know. I just thought it was really fascinating, really interesting. But he's basically said, like, you know, I they think it's going to make a bunch of money because they spend spend a lot of money on it, and so it probably has to. And if it doesn't, I won't do this anymore. Basically, and he basically said he won't necessarily give. He's not. He doesn't have plans to just like give it to somebody else at the moment to
Mhm.
just like keep making them. But presumably that would be a combo. Like if the movie does well, he'll just do it. And if it doesn't do well, why would they necessarily want somebody else to come in and just do it?
Well, it's also like it's obviously not gonna not do well, but like I wonder how much of this is coming from like maybe he's getting a little, you know, itch to do some other things. Like it's been a while since he's been able to like do anything other than Avatar. Um and but it makes so much money that obviously he should be doing Avatar. But like knowing, we talked about a story he picked up the rights to The Devils from Joe
That's
Abercrombie.
right.
Like maybe
Mhm.
he's thinking about some other projects that he would be willing to do, but he's like, well, but I have to do this until it stops making money. And so I wonder if that's not because again, like of course it's going to happen. Like they're not going to not do Avatar 4, you know,
Mhm.
A Avatar 3 is gonna do fine, and they're gonna wanna do Avatar 4. But, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm
Alright.
excited for it. I'm excited for it. So yeah. Um, okay, Terry, it's that time of the year. You'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll see TBD on next week whether if it's sort of in a I don't know. I guess I could do an Avatar reaction pod. I could do that. People are interested in something next week. We'll figure it out. In 2 weeks, you and I'll be back. It'll be right before the end of the year, and I feel like that's a good time for us to do the annual tradition of the top 10 TV shows of 2025 and the top 10 movies of 2025. You and I will come up with our list. There'll be forms. It should be in the show notes. People can fill that out. We'll just do shows and movies, I think, and people can vote
Separate
for
categories.
separate categories. Yeah. I'll have some bonus questions in there maybe as well. But yeah, we'll do that and we will reveal them and we'll try to figure out, I think on that pod, how we like, I think last year you and I sort of like combined our list a little bit based on how we voted. We can take into account maybe how the audience collectively voted or just share how they voted.
Yeah, and I was thinking about this in terms of timing because I have this trouble every year where I'm like, "Well, I don't wanna put my list together until I've seen everything." Um,
It's true.
but then I realized that it's hard to see everything before without the lists to tell you what are the best things that you should see.
This is how I basically like feel like I feel like I do a really good job watching a lot of stuff throughout the year, and then basically like as the lists are coming in and I see what's there, I don't like to be like to have anyone on the pod who might not have watched it, and I take on that responsibility to be like, oh, I gotta watch this season of this thing because I don't think either of us have watched it, and so that's how I like get. That's how I like watch everything on the list. Is I like make sure I've hit everything that looks like it will
Exactly.
get
So
votes. Yeah,
I feel like this is us making the list at the end of the year where we will contribute our favorite things that we have seen. The audience will contribute theoretically the rest. And then for me at least, like I then want to try to like watch the rest of the stuff that I haven't seen yet as
exactly.
much as possible, fill in the gaps, and then
Yeah,
put out a more refined during award season, perhaps. Here are our so like I think this list should be heavily like it will be us and the audience combined.
yeah,
And then maybe later during award season, we would put out our own curated list now that we've
yeah.
seen more.
Okay. I like that. There's a little bit of an unveiling of the list and maybe some math to figure out like what the
Yeah.
tastemakers and tastemaker audience list looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, very fun. Excited. It's in the show notes, the link for the poll. And I'm gonna in like I'm previously I've done them as separate polls, but I feel like that's gonna be I'm gonna put them all in one. You don't have to fill in five, but I'll do 5 television shows, 5 movies that people can submit their ballots for. Um don't feel like some people are like, I only watch 3 shows. Just put in 3 shows. It's all fine. Yeah.
All right.
And if you didn't watch
Well,
movies but you're a TV show watcher, don't feel like you have to fill out the movies. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
there you go. Make sure you vote. We'll talk through the results in a couple of weeks. And in the meantime, that's what we got. Make sure you check out my Patreon. I'm still doing a lot of content over there, including a book club for my book where I'm running through chapter by chapter thought process
This is your
behind the
book.
writing and
I have
everything.
it in my hands. This is your
There
book.
it is.
This is your book.
Very cool. So check out the Patreon. On top of course, I'm doing all kinds of other show coverage there, and so on and so forth. Grace, what about you?
Writing for Parade and Popeyes, doing Survivor and Dark recaps. This Century in Cinema had a brutal documentary. Is The Act of Killing, Taran? I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's
I
a
have seen that. Yeah,
man, it's brutal. That's
that's
a
a rough one.
fascinating exploration of yeah, it's wild, but a really good conversation with Austin Smith, who's lovely. And then this week is Black Swan on This Century in Cinema. So yeah, I'm on social media at Hi from Grace.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us here this week, and we will see all of you next time.